I was fucking born ready.
You are.
Are we on?
I was born to be this way.
Is that not a Lady Gaga? Is that not a Lady Gaga song?
It's a Lady Johnny.
It's a Lady Johnny. You can't, I'm going to HR on you. Don't you not slang like that? I'm so offended by that.
Wait. That you can only choose to be offended, my friend.
And I did
choose. Did you choose to be offended?
Yes.
It's okay then.
So, good morning to you all. Good afternoon and good evening. Welcome to the Business Babble. Today we have a fantastic guest, Cuddy Cudworth, the leading mind management business or
coach in the UK.
In the UK.
UK's leading mind management coach, Johnny. Come on, get it out there. You wrote it down.
I did. But you know what it is? I write it down, like, I can't read that.
It's nerves. It's just nerves.
I'm so nervous. So nervous.
I have that power over people sometimes.
Is that not your NLP or something?
No, it's not that. It's just the understanding of language. And people call me a mind reader sometimes. I'm like, nope, can't read your minds, but I can read your language.
How do you get me your wife then?
I don't. That's why I'm here early on a Monday morning. I don't.
So for all that skill in mind reading,
none whatsoever.
None whatsoever.
No. And believe it or not, we're talking about that as well, but straight, because I think language is really, really, really important in people, internally, externally. And I'm a keen listener, but not at home. I turn that off like you wouldn't believe, because I'm like, my wife's like, you're not listening to me. I'm like, nope,
I've just worked 12 hours a day. That's getting switched off.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. I'm absolutely a nightmare at home.
So, Cuddy, I've known you for quite some time.
Yeah.
Through networking.
Yep.
Large in life character. And from my personal opinion, I was drawn to you. And it's just the energy you give off. And you do the mind management.
Yes.
What does that mean, though? Let's just say, because mind management is such a big word. What does that mean?
Very good. I think you're right there, because when I was looking for a job title, when I was going through, all the training that I've gone through to be able to learn the things that I do, I went through life coaching. I went through NLP. I went through cognitive behavioral therapy, clean language questioning, EMDR therapy, psychosensory therapies. I've got such a broad scope of skills. I was like, I can't call myself a life coach, because I don't think I'm good enough to coach my own life sometimes, to be fair. And I think there is sometimes a connotation for life coach that doesn't sit well with me, with my values. And every time I said, oh, I'm a life coach, there was a little shudder in myself. It didn't align. Didn't align. So I was like, right, what can I call myself? And I've got a massive array of books at the house, and I was going through books. And one of my favourite books, and I urge everyone to read this, is The Chimp Paradox by Stephen Peters, the mind management book. And I was like, oh, mind management coach. And I was like, that's it. I'll call myself a mind management coach. So helping people manage their minds. I think the best way to explain what I do, because I work with children to businesses to senior leaders as leaders within business structures, is I work with people's beliefs. Beliefs. That's it. If you've got a belief that's not serving you, it's sabotaging you, maybe it's something from past, something from childhood, something from last week. If you have a belief that's not serving you and you're not moving forward, you're not achieving the greatness, the success that you want in life, then I would get a mind management coach.
So let's just take a step back. What does belief mean? Is it a worldview? What does belief mean? When you talk about a belief system, because it's a big word to throw out there, and people will sit here and they'll listen, belief system, what does that mean?
Perfect.
So if you just rewind that to us and tell us, what is a belief system?
Through our lives, we are constantly learning from external forces, and it creates belief systems or schemas. If you want to get really technical, we would call it a schema. Is that too technical?
Too technical. You need to dumb it down for me.
So we have, through our lives, we are constantly learning about everything that's happening around us, and it creates a belief system of, oh, we can't do this, we can do this. My father said, oh, if you touch that switch on the wall, the central heating will blow up. True story, by the way. My dad used to always say, don't touch that switch, because if you touch that switch, it messes with the central heating and it'll blow off the side of the house. So there's a switch in the house that I never touched. I would never touch that. Sometimes with my dad, I'd go, he's like, no. So you know what happens? If you turn that switch off, the side of the house will blow off. So I never touch the switch in the kitchen. Never touch the switch in the kitchen.
That's a clever way of keeping your house cool.
Right?
Yeah.
So after about 10 years of never touching that, I was leaving and I was like, oh, I was going to lean on. Oh, my dad was like, you can lean on. I'm like, no, I can't because it'll mess with the side of the house. He went, no, I just told you that. Turns out you're leaning on, cost a fortune. And I was like, are you serious? He was like, yeah, it'll not blow off the side of the house. You're absolutely fine. 10 years, I would not touch that switch. That's a
okay.
belief.
So that's a good
belief.
explanation.
Was that from 35 to 45?
That's a belief system.
Okay, so that's a good explanation. So
That's
it's something that's happened in your life or something that somebody's told you that you've now taken as the gospel and that you would never touch that.
I would never touch it. That's created a belief system and a fear. I'll not touch it. Don't want to upset my dad. Don't want to upset the family. Don't want to blow up the house. Don't want to be in charge of that. So I'm not going to touch that switch. That's a belief system. Simple.
It is.
But it is important.
That.
So if you think about kids right now, and I was thinking about this yesterday, not in the context of the podcast, is we used to have something that was, we call them sticky buds or itchy buds. They used to be little red buds that used to grow on trees. And as kids, we would say, oh, if you ground them up and put them on your back, you'll itch for hours. It creates an allergic reaction. Sticky buds or icky buds, we used to call them itchy buds. So I now know I would never touch an itchy bud. If you Google an itchy bud, nothing comes up. And as kids, we'll go back now, I bet you if we rubbed on our skin, it won't make us itch. But as kids, we said, this is now an itchy bud. That's another belief system.
And would you, this is quite interesting. So would you believe that this is the issue with some people as well, when they're circulating with the right and the wrong people?
Yes.
It becomes that kind of belief system, the way people are talking, the way people are acting. So we've alluded to that in previous episodes about finding the right group in business.
Yes.
But personally as well, finding the right group of people.
Does that mean that when you sit with somebody and they've got the same belief system, you feel more accepted, or you're more likely to be accepted in people in circles where they share the same beliefs and values?
Correct.
Than as opposed to where you go into a room and you feel, I just can't align with these people. There's just...
And I don't want to go, it's early on a Monday morning, obviously, but you could use religion as that. You've got so many different variations of religion. You've got a different belief system within everybody. If you're aligned to one religion, you might not be aligned to another. I wouldn't align with most religions just because that's not the way I was brought up. Doesn't mean to say that I don't value the opinions of others, but you're absolutely right. When it comes to belief systems and values, most people's values, if there's someone you don't vibe with in that room, it'll be a clash in values. It will be a clash in values. If you value honesty, trust, and respect, and you meet someone and you know full well that they don't have, they've given off, or they've spoke about somebody that's not in the room, which is always a key indicator for me. It's like, well, they've not got no respect. They've not got a value that's going to match with me. So we're not going to align. So that's definitely finding your vibe. Finding your tribe, you'll find your vibe.
And as much as you can learn values that might hinder you, can you also then learn values that can help you?
Yes, you can. Values are a really powerful thing because, and I know that Vickers and I have talked about values in the past. You can change your values. I've had to look at my values recently, and one of my values wasn't serving me at all. So I've had to look at different values that I wanted to be able to align to. Because it can be quite frustrating. So it's about moving up into a value that's probably going to move you forward, that's going to benefit you more. So I had loyalty as one of my values, but that really is the truth. I don't know, because if you think about that one, my loyalty and the expectation of other people's loyalty, there's a mismatch in expectations there.
Define the behavior that goes with loyalty.
That's a good question.
Because if you want loyalty, you get yourself a Labrador dog. A dog is loyal. It's a very, very good example of if ever you talk about values, and just we've spoken about that in one of our first episodes, is a value always goes with a behavior.
Yes.
A behavior follows it. So if you have a value like loyalty, I'm always just interested to understand what is the behavior that goes with it. How do you demonstrate it? How do you live it out?
So and that's a really good question. Do you know what? That's brilliant.
I can understand where you say, because your concept of loyalty is very, very different to somebody else's concept of loyalty. So I can understand that it could be quite tricky.
Yes. So I would go to trustworthiness instead. So I've moved the value to trustworthiness. I would exude trust, and I would expect trust in others. That moves away from loyalty so that you don't get disappointed. So I start managing my emotional state. One of the biggest things we can do for self-awareness is managing emotional states. Understand your emotions, learn them, don't control them, manage them. You'll start moving where you want to move to in life.
So for our listeners and viewers out there, how long have you been doing this then?
So I would technically say I've probably been doing this for 10, 15 years since my nervous breakdown when I couldn't manage my emotions, understand my values, or learn anything. I had a massive nervous breakdown about something. I was a gibbering mess. My wife literally got to a point where she said, whatever you're going through in life is now starting to affect me. I didn't understand the power of my emotions. And you opened up with a show, Cuddy, there's something about you that I was drawn to. I'm quite a large chap, as you all well know from sitting here. I'm 6'2". I'm 4 feet wide, trying to get to 3 feet wide, but I'm a very large gentleman. If my emotions are in a negative, disempowering state, that exudes to a massive, massive power, and that can drag other people down. And I think we don't realize the power of our emotions and what we put out, especially with vibrancy and things like that. So you're absolutely right. I muster and manage my emotions to make sure I'm attracting, not repulsing, as I did with my wife. And she said, and this is one of the things, it's the tough love. Whatever you're going through now is starting to affect me, and I'm ready to walk. And I was like, oh my God, really something that I thought I was going through and struggling with personally. And I thought it was a personal struggle. She's like, oh no, everybody knows what you're going through. And that's when I started learning about NLP, cognitive behavioral therapy, managing our thoughts, our minds. And that's why we do it. Yeah.
I think that's, it'll also be very true for people living with someone that's a narcissist as well.
Narcissism pops up an awful lot these days, to be fair, yes.
I think it's because it's such a manipulative state. Some people can't articulate their feelings at that point, the ones that are on the receiving end of it. And possibly even the people that are like that, they don't know any better. They are who they are until 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 people are then starting to point out because they're educated on the series of events that's unfolding in front of them due to them. So I think we're at a state where, social media is so widely available.
Yeah.
Education, good and bad education, is so widely available, and sometimes maybe a detrimental effect is the youngsters are getting too much of that, too much content, and they're still learning, they're processing their brains. So it's quite a difficult. So this is where I see the mind coaching, the mind management coaching is so readily available, but the right ones. Because I've seen a lot of coaches, and I'm thinking, what are you coaching for? We've said to Vickers, you do what you do, but you've had a business.
Yes.
You've worked in high
level, yes.
High level, and you've went through your trials and tribulations.
Yes.
So that shows me that you've got contents to understand and have empathy, opposed to just reading the book and regurgitating it out to people. You felt that. And it's like what we always talk about. It's always a feeling in business when you're excited, when you've done really well, when you've really fucked up and you're really on rock bottom, and it's about the people that make you feel great being around your circle. So do you think that's in essence that's why you do what you do?
I know for a fact I'm a helper. I know that there were in that time in those dark spaces when I didn't want help or didn't realise I needed help. It was the wife that kicked me up the arse, so she gave me the tough love, which I think still needed. A lot of people say that tough love's not the way forward, but I needed that reality check. That was, 17, 18 years ago. And that's when I got into meditation. So meditation was the first step in the first journey for me to be able to go through, to be able to sit with thoughts coming in and not be affected by them. Because meditation, for anyone, is not sitting with total clarity. Nah, that's nigh on impossible. It's letting the thoughts come in and letting them pass. I was engaging with every emotional, irrational thought that was coming in because I was completely in the negative side of my brain, which is the fear side, which is just constant, this is wrong, you're an idiot. The language, the internal conversations that I'm always talking about with everyone. If you master that conversation, and it doesn't matter what and I'll say this for anyone listening, people are looking for a diagnosis, people are looking for a label, and unless we know how to manage that label, we're not going to be able to move forward. We're going to get stuck with a label. And labels, and even using ADHD as a label or a disempowering, it's either empowering or disempowering, depending on how you look at the social media that's going around that'll tell you this is signs of ADHD And this is the negative signs of ADHD. So especially with children going around looking at those kind of things, you might find a lot of people starting looking for that label. So then they have a reason to succeed, or now I can't. Language.
Use it as an excuse.
Again, we could say excuse, or that lack of knowledge of understanding that there's so many great qualities within this diagnosis. There is so many disempowering qualities. We've got a choice to what we want to go for. And most people don't understand the power of choice within life.
That's where the belief comes in.
Belief. It comes back full circle to beliefs, how we build in beliefs. I'm not going to touch the switch. So what does...
Please don't touch the wall, because if you touch it again, it'll blow the side off the building.
There we go.
It'll just fall off.
They just fall off because Mike did that side. Anything is perfect.
Yes.
That's another 5 days.
Yes. And that's the same within business, because
Yes.
people, staff at work, it depends on what. Especially, you mentioned kids for social media as well, which is the algorithms of social media are, if you check something for more than 3 seconds, then the rest of the algorithms go, oh, you must have liked that. So if there's a kid on social media that saw something negative for 3 seconds, but just curiously looked at it, boom, TikTok throws you all the other stuff. And I'm like, oh man, the next 7, I don't even like fishing, but I heard someone telling a joke while they were fishing. And this is a polite way of using the algorithm. The next 7 reels that I got was fishing and jokes. And I was like, oh, that's okay, but I'm not into fishing or anything like that. But if you were to watch something quite negative, which was narcissism, you are a narcissist, and you think, oh, am I a narcissist? You've spent 3 seconds looking at that. Then the next algorithm's coming in, narcissism. If you're a child, you are getting programmed. And again, so you want to make sure that the kids are using the social media for a positive. There's so many positives out there. There's so much you can learn from social media. But the algorithms, you're constantly programming your mind with what's coming in.
Sorry, you go.
So if I'm a business owner, and I'm sitting here and I'm listening and I'm thinking, I don't really understand. How does this relate to business? Tie it back for us to business.
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to language, when it comes to identity, which is extremely strong driving forces, most people don't know who they are. Most people don't understand it. So if they've got, let's use a very low-level, simple term of mental health. I've spoke to a lot of leaders and they said, oh, I actually don't have mental health issues. I'm like, okay, do you get stressed? No. And then someone will say, well, yeah, I'm stressed all the time. That's mental health. Oh, no, I'm talking... Mental health is emotional health. Technically, we should be calling mental health emotional health, such as anxiety, stress, and depression. That would be more powerful, because there's still a connotation to mental health, which is mental illness, which is completely different level. That's bipolar, that's schizophrenia. And when I always talk about conversations in monkey minds, when I first was going through something, I thought I was bipolar or schizophrenic, because I had this internal conversation going. So I was getting panicky. It wasn't until I found the one book that I was like, that's me. That's everything there that I do. Right, okay, it's my monkey mind. Oh my God, thank you so much. Right, so I'm glad I'm not going mental. This conversation's normal. Right, okay, it's fine. The conversation's normal. Now, I know that. Think about your business and you've got staff. They're running a program internally. And I do a fantastic training for businesses, which is going, it's the slap training. If you could slap yourself for positive mental health, would you do it?
I would.
Absolutely. If you could slap your staff for positive mental health, would you do it?
Twice.
Perfect. There we go. That's why the training is going really well. Totally tongue-in-cheek. So for most people's staff, that the S or in a slap is story. We're creating stories. We're constantly creating a story. That story comes from the emotions that we have. Most people don't know what the emotional state that they're in. They don't have the awareness. So you have somebody who's frustrated or angry. Johnny, you've said to one of your staff, I know what your intention would be is, there's a snag there, and I need you to be able to just go and work on the snag for me. Right, boom, I'll go and next thing I'm working on, because you're a busy man. Your staff member, if he's in a negative, disempowered place, he's got those feelings of not being good enough, the conversation's going to go, what a wanker. I've tried really hard with that. Johnny just comes in and says, do the snag, and then, what a dickhead. Right?
Yeah.
If you've got 85% of your staff doing that, you've got 85% of your staff thinking you're a wanker, right? That's your business. You've got, 25 people working for you. A business with 400 people, you've got 85% of the staff not knowing how to be able to control their internal conversations. They're all walking around with, my boss is a wanker. does he understand how I meant so much time on doing this work? Now, you've now got those emotions rolling round. You know people talk. Vickers, you'll understand that people will talk. If they don't know how to understand their conversations. So within a business structure, if we don't understand how to manage our emotions, or not control them, manage them, control the story that we have and understand that that story comes from a place within, then we're going to have a problem within a business structure. So coming back to value of how I help businesses, if you can help your team manage their emotions, get them back into a neutral to a positive emotional state quite quickly, and I mean quite quickly, because we create choice, we create option, and we create a very simple process to get your teams back into that state, then you now have options within your teams to go, Johnny, go and sort out that snag. All right, what do you mean? Just, I need it better. Cheers. Not a problem, Johnny. Thanks for your feedback. I really appreciate that. Much appreciated. Snag's done. No conversation, no story, no language, no meaning created. They're on to the next job. They know they're good enough. They feel valued. They feel heard. You're going to make a massive change within your business structure, and you're going to start alleviating procrastination, presenteeism. You're going to start having a place of work that's more positive, and people are going to feel valued. And I think one of the biggest things for motivation within business structures and the businesses that I'm working with is they want to feel valued. They can work anywhere. To be fair, people can work anywhere they want. There's different markers and structures for motivation that will help people to want to go and work for you. And validation is one of them. And motivation and feeling validated is going to be a massive part. And most people don't know how to validate people consciously, unconsciously, and it's quite a simple thing to do.
That's a very good. That's 100%. Yeah, because I mean, we've used you. I mean,
yeah, you still do.
We still use you, and it is great. But even just having another conversation about it, and you know, for me, we talk about the dumbing it down.
Yeah,
you've explained that absolutely brilliantly.
Yes.
So the question I now ask, you know, we're all business owners, entrepreneurs. Yeah. Why do people not use you? I've used you for years, and I'm like, what's the stumbling block for people? I mean, this is so apparent that there's issues with emotional health, as you put it.
Yeah.
Any good business owner that wants to protect them, yes, staff want money. Yes, staff want holidays. Yes, staff want that recognition. Sometimes they don't know, but they feel great when they get it. But what about their wives, their husbands, their kids? If the manager had you in there, you were just there. You were there, you looked after their foundation of how they thought before they actually went to work.
Yeah.
And that's maybe how you sell it to a good employer, because let's make no mistake about it, there's some terrible employers out there.
There's going to be a lot of employers that see no value to this. I will say too that there'll be, you 50-50, because there'll be a lot of employers that go, well, you know what, my staff are a bunch of idiots. Nothing's going to ever change. And again, belief system, values, that type of thing. Me and you talked about something when I first met you, and it still resonates with me now. And I work with a business that was like, oh God, Vickers was right. And it was the fish rots from the head up. Head down, yeah. If that's not there, the rest of your system's not going to work. It's not. So it starts at the top. So the leadership has to have a clear understanding. Leadership have to recognize that whichever business you're in, you're going to have people. People are and I'm a firm believer, people are the lifeblood of any business. But you have to have the right people in the right roles doing the right things.
Yes.
And if their emotional state, what you're telling us is if their emotional state is off the chart, and they're having negative conversations in their head, then your productivity is going to suffer.
Yes.
So if I'm a business owner looking to invest, because it's really an investment, okay, how do I see the return on my investment?
So recent studies for return on investment there's an 800% return on investment for mental health. And it's funny.
Quantify it for me, because I'm a numbers kind of guy.
Yeah, for every pound spent, you'll get £8 back.
But how do I see it in my numbers? Do I see my cash flow jump? Do I see it, or is it a little bit more intangible? Because if it's intangible, it's okay, but it's just to guide people around it.
Yeah. I would say that you're going to find out that less people will turn up for work and say, I'm stressed, and go on sick days. So
productivity increases.
Yes. So productivity will increase.
Less sick days.
Yeah, the less sick days. All right. Okay. So sick days, I think most people don't understand the power of what a sick day actually costs a business. It doesn't cost for Vickers not turning up. Vickers not turning up is not the cost.
It's the team.
It's the team. Because then if you've only got a team of 4 people, then you've got 3 people that's now got to do the work of 4 people. That is stress. Because they're now all, well, I only had my certain 8 hours a day or however long I work, and now I've got to do 12 hours in 8 hours to make sure that we cover for Vickers. Because Vickers has had another sick day. All right? So the cost, so we're creating a belief system now. So now we're creating a belief system. Well, if Vickers can have a day off.
So could I.
There we go. Now that passes on. You've got 2 people within your team of 4.
So now all of a sudden you've got 2 people that work and 2 people off.
Now, you've got the 2 people who are loyal. Their values are loyal. I like my work. And now going to start going, well, Vickers and Johnny, they're wankers. They have sick days all the time.
You know me so well.
What's the point of me turning up to work? So their productivity well, I'm not getting paid any extra for Vickers and Johnny. Fuck them. Right? I'm not going to do it. All right? Now you've got a belief system.
And who suffers
he's
at
not
the end?
listening.
Yeah.
The business suffers.
This is stringing a chord with the culture, the internal culture of business as well. It all works hand in hand.
Yes.
And it's interesting when you talk about investment, people investing in businesses. I remember the first few things that I ask. The first one is, what's your staff retention like?
Yeah.
You already know what that alludes to.
Yeah.
So for business owners out there, do you want somebody coming and going all the time, constantly throwing money at to teach them?
Yeah.
Or would you not just like to try and keep your business floating with the same staff, same team?
Look, there is an argument. I think 90% of people's teams are fit for purpose. But sometimes in businesses, there are 1 or 2 individuals that they have to move on naturally. It's a season. Okay?
I get that. And when it comes to like the cost and the money as well, let's use a lady who is extremely experienced with business. She's one of your higher leaders. She's been with your business structure for 20 years, and then she starts going through the menopause. That is, as we all know, I know we've got partners going through the menopause and things like that, is absolute torture. And if you've got a coach that's versed in menopause and can help someone through that, the cost of a business for losing that lady who says, I can't work here because I'm not understood, I'm not valued, they reckon is, if she's paid £75,000 a year, the cost of that business is £250,000 to that business. Because you lose the person who's getting paid £75,000 a year, you lose 20 years of expertise that will make your life easier. Yes, we understand that lady's going through menopause, and the efficiency of that work might dip on some days with the symptoms of menopause. If you've got an empathetic boss that goes, and I've worked with a business that has, and they're like, I love this person, I know they're going through something, Cuddy, what can you do to help that person? Not a problem. I'll understand, I'll help, we'll look at the triggers, we'll look at the understanding of menopause and things like that. And we've got menopause coaches that work within the business that are even more well-versed in that. We will help and support that person so that they don't leave the business. They may have less sick days. They'll feel valued. They'll feel understood. And we can I'll come back to language and communication. Every time will save your business time. It will save your business. And in a position of Johnny, it will save you time so that you can muster. And I always think leadership and ownership of businesses are the captains on a ship are up in the crow's nest. They're up looking where they want to go. The people who are rowing the boats are thinking, that person's a wanker with it. But we need the captain up there looking where the sea monsters are, where the whirlpools are, so that we're navigating. So we need the navigator. If you're getting pulled back down with the people rowing in the boat, you're not navigating where the business is going. You're not looking at your trends. You're not looking at that. For a business owner, they might not understand that. And if they're having to deal with somebody who's going with emotions, menopause, up and down, grief, we've been working with grief with businesses, understanding why they've lost their motivation in life, you're going to get dragged out of your crow's nest. You're not going to see where, because you're getting dragged down. Yeah. That's where leadership and management's different, because then you're starting to come down and manage, and you shouldn't have to do that. So the cost of bringing a mind management coach in with a business that help you manage that, you stay up in your crow's nest. That's a pitfall I need to move. I need to move away from that. You're keeping your business moving forward. So you're managing your time, you're managing your mental health, you're managing your conversations, and you're now starting to manage your business moving forward so that you can make more money, so that your teams are motivated and supported.
I think it is so important that managers are, one, if you've got the right manager in,
Yeah.
and again, helping everybody in the team. The managers making sure they're all right, even the leaders.
Yes.
It's so important because we all think the leaders of the business know it all, can see it all,
Yeah.
but sometimes they are the cancer in the business.
Yeah. It's an overgeneralization a wee bit, but sometimes, yes.
Yeah.
Comes back to the fish
it's
reference.
identifying who you are as a person. And it's a shame because there's people you make a judgment on every single day when you meet them.
Yeah.
And you know, even looking at the negative, what you think. But you say to yourself, why do people not look at themselves? Why does the majority of people not look at themselves? Not to put themselves down, but realise, what can I do better? Because most entrepreneurs, business owners want to be successful. One, they want to make money. They want to be content. They want to be happy. They want to have joy. All these things. But sometimes they look at everybody else and, right, I need to do that, I need to do that. No, start with yourself first. You know, wanky as it sounds, become the best version of yourself. Mm. But sometimes you need an outsider, like you get a business advisor, you get a nutritionist, you get a mind manager to come in and say, right, this is, they adapt and they find out who you are as a person. You know, you get the yellow colour, the blue colour of person you are.
Yes.
But why do you not want to become better, especially if you're a bloody business owner?
100% fear. So it comes down to ego, which will drive fear within the business structure. So if you've got and I think we would all say that we know people that are in those positions of power. With power comes great responsibility. Spider-Man quote. I dropped a superhero reference
Can
for
you believe it?
However, fear. Just because we've gotten into those positions, power feeds into our emotional needs. It always comes back to emotions. And if you don't understand your emotional needs and how to feed them positively or negatively, then you're going to have a problem. And most people feed their emotion. A lot of people can feed those emotional needs negatively. So looking at some of the emotional needs, I know that importance is one of my emotional needs that I value. And I know that. Now,
define that. Explain that a little bit better.
Right. So there's 7 different emotional needs. There is security. There is love. There is privacy. I'm not going to be able to list them all off.
No. But you said importance.
So importance.
I want the listeners to understand what does that mean.
Perfect. So part of our emotional needs, the hierarchy of our emotional needs is that we value different things that make it, for us as human beings, we have to fulfill those emotional needs. It's Maslow's emotional needs, the hierarchy of emotional needs. I'm sure you'll understand. And if you're not feeding them, there's different ways you can look at any kind of structure for emotional needs or for values and perception of those emotional needs. So you can do a ratings value for emotional needs. What do you value the most out of your emotional needs? Well, I value community, spirit, and giving and contribution. Create value, self-actualization starts moving you up the conscious scale, which is a phenomenal thing to do. All right, love is important. People need love. From birth to death, if there's a lacking in love, that's when we can find that most people genuinely might have a mental health challenge or emotional health challenge. If they've not felt it, understood it, or had it in their life, then we start creating a what? Belief system of I'm not lovable, one of those core things. So I understand that my emotional needs, when I did a value, I like to be important. I like to help other people. So importance was important to me. Use those words twice. Right. So I fill that positively, not negatively. I am fully aware that some people want importance. It's a massive value to them. And then they'll push other people down to make sure that they feel that's feeding importance negatively, which would feed into narcissism and ego. All right. So that's when we start filling those emotional needs negatively. I like to come on podcasts. I like to do podcasts. I like to spread the word of helping people manage their minds. I think it's important to have that conversation that not all mental health is an excuse. I think we can fall down ADHD, autism, having the labels are sometimes important, sometimes not important. I think it's important to have those conversations. Again, feeding into importance. I like to feed the value of importance positively to help people. So I now know that I've got a way to be able to feed that emotional value to me, which is important to me. It's important to feel love within my relationship, within my family, within my friends, Coming back to loyalty, if I've got a tight crew around me, I'll do anything for that tight crew. I think, Johnny, that's probably why we get on so well.
Yeah, definitely.
We know about the BNI. I think, Vickers, you know full well I'm quite passionate about the BNI and putting in. And I think Givers Gain is important. But then the loyalty part comes, we start looking on the reverse side of it is like, well, what are we getting back? So we have to keep focusing on let's keep giving because it will come back eventually. That's one of the laws of the universe that we have. So yes, does that explain the importance?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know it's important to me. So I fill that positively by how can I contribute more into the world? Because that feeds back into importance for me as well. Emotional needs and Maslow's hierarchy of emotional needs is really important to people. Most people don't know them. So your staff won't know them. It's actually a really powerful way to sell. If you want, I've done a sales training understanding people's emotional needs because you can find out what someone's emotional needs in an open conversation, and within 5 minutes you'll know that they need security in their life. So you make your sales pitch towards security.
Yeah.
Once you can identify what your client's emotional needs are, then you can create the conversation towards that. Some people say, I really want to look after my kids if you're into sales and marketing. Well, I want something left over for my kids. Right, not a problem. So we know that contribution and love, so you can create a sales pitch towards that emotional need to help them. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was very interesting. We also you've got many different layers or different things going on just now.
I have, yeah.
So you've got the slap, you've got the coaching, you've got the Frosty Nips as well.
So Frosty Nips is going to be going live quite short. So I'm a massive fan of cold water therapy.
Yeah.
So I run the Five Dippers, which has now got nearly 6,000 people in worldwide. One of the biggest dipping groups in Scotland now. We're moving into that genre of getting people out into the water. Get into the water and watch your stress levels disappear.
Well, I'm more worried about my penis.
Things disappear. Did you say penis?
Well, I went penis. Well, I'm worried
I
because
spoke to Lisa and she said, I wouldn't worry about it.
I know. Well, I went up to Town Hill Loch in November and went skiing, water skiing, and I was devastated because it must have shrunk to about 6 inches.
That must have been horrible.
Where has it gone? Where has it
That
gone?
must have been horrible for you.
At your right leg, on top of it.
Mike warmed that up for me though, so it's okay. Well, so a lot of us have watched the TikTok videos.
Yes, I do a lot, yeah.
Is this just a myth?
No. I mean, the science
Explain it to that.
The science, let's go back to how we started the conversation. Beliefs. The power of belief, the biology of belief is one of the most powerful things that you can have in life. There is a book called The Biology of Belief, which is a phenomenal book that I genuinely think everybody should look into. However, cold water therapy, the medical benefits, there's some medical benefits of what happens to our body when we get into cold water that still not technically they won't confirm, such as...
Heart attack.
What's that?
Heart attack.
Well, see, I do coaching to get into the water, so I've got loads of coaching programs that people that can join in at Privacy Mind Management training and excellence. So we've got loads. So there's a cold water therapy one that will help you create a belief system and a conversation that gets you in and out of the water safely. Don't ever underestimate the power of conversations and the language that we have. So you'll see a lot in my videos online that are doing quite well and popular, which is I am calm, I am safe, I am well. I am calm, I am safe, I am well. You keep telling yourself that for long enough, you'll get in and out of the water and you'll be like, do you know what? I don't know what I was worried about. First of all, emotional health. I don't know it's never as bad as we
I was just going to say
think.
It's
never as bad as we think.
Yeah.
It is. It's all mind management. Yeah. It generally is mind management, understanding of the outcome. So it's not a myth, but I will tell you now, if you think you've got a problem with stress, you've been signed off the sick from work for stress, you get in cold water, you will become extremely resilient. And I'll explain why. Getting into cold water, the fourth, an ice bucket, and I still say get into the fourth or into real nature and water because there's 4 benefits that for our happiness chemicals, for our entire mindset that happens to us and our endorphins when we get into the water. However, getting in cold water is stressful. It's literally putting your body under the most amount of stress, but you're managing it. Because stress is not going anywhere. To anyone watching the Business Babble, stress isn't going anywhere. In fact, it's only going to get worse. You need to learn how to manage it. All right? Managing it by conversations. We always create a meaning out of something, how we were made to feel in trauma, in any kind of experience that we've gone through. We will have felt something in a certain way. And our brain overgeneralizes that. So it'll start. So if you felt weak, you'd be like, oh, I'm just not a strong person. What have we got? A belief system. Yeah. We have a belief system. We start coding our entire body. If you get into cold water and say, I am calm, I am safe, I am well. I am calm, I am safe, I am well. Get into cold water, do a 5-minute dip, get out. Your body goes into this complete sense of euphoria. Holy shit, I've achieved something. I've done something. I feel amazing. Boom. Now we've got a new belief system. The belief system we now have is, oh, I can do something. I am able. Oh, and I'm stronger than I thought. Now we have a new belief system. I'm just a
bit smaller. So how do people find out about that then?
There's a Five Dippers group on Facebook. I do a lot of the videos in there. I'll post stuff on LinkedIn. I got quite a prominent leader from one of the businesses, Colin. He just came in, so we got loads of contacts. I've had quite a few people get in contact with charities. We're starting to get people with addiction recovery into the water. The reason we do addiction recovery, you will get a 10 times hit on dopamine for when you get into the water. Your dopamine spikes getting in cold water for 2 minutes. It's a 10 times hit to taking a line of cocaine. All right, so you get a dopamine hit from cocaine. You will get a 10 times hit of going into cold water than you would have done with cocaine.
Right, let's go.
Right, so
I do not advocate that.
But drugs. What happens when you start getting into the water is your belief systems start to change. Mm-hmm. You start going into I can, I will, I do, instead of I can't, I'm useless, I'm feckless wonder, which is what most people's conversations can be. And I think for any business, you will find with sports people, businesses, Vickers will be able to do this as well, I'm sure. I would be able to say that you're going to be successful in business within 15 minutes listening to your language. People's language tells me everything. Not a mind reader, I'm a listener. I am a listener. I am a sponge everywhere I go, except at home with my wife. True story.
So rather than us preaching all the time, I think we need to get involved.
People will preach and you will be seen. People will know when people are preaching and not. There's a difference between being in the game and talking a good game. And I think you'll find most people like to talk a good game.
I'll get it. So we're going dipping then, is where we're going with this.
That was me guarding you into it, to be fair.
Vickers, how you feel
that was me using a language to get you into the water.
I'm okay.
I thought you
things like that doesn't worry.
Things
Things like that. I come from Africa, China. I swam with sharks. I'm okay with things like this.
Yeah, but have you swam in the Forth with pilot whales?
I do. I have.
We had pilot whales on Saturday. 4 pilot whales. 20 metres out, came up. So we always dip at Leven Beach.
Isn't that radioactive? I've seen some stuff.
Actually, Leven Beach is one of the nicest beaches in Scotland. Do you know what's one of the... I hate to say it, but do you know what's one of the worst beaches in Scotland?
I don't know.
Actually, it's St Andrews.
St Andrews?
St Andrews has got one of the worst...
That's controversial.
All kinds of hell is going to break loose now.
It's the way that the currents go and the way that the pollution's put out into the water. Yeah. St Andrews has got one of the worst... I don't think the word's toxicity.
No, it's they do a test.
SEPA. It's SEPA that does a test, and St Andrews comes up one of the worst.
And they test for some things like E. coli.
E. coli, yeah.
Yeah, so that gives you an indication. So blue flag beaches...
Or the scallops and stuff like that.
Well, maybe not. Maybe it's just one of those things.
Wow.
Yeah, so Leven Beach, what happens with Leven Beach is there's 2 kind of places to dip at Leven Beach. There's down at the caravan end, and then there's at the middle car park, which is near the Scotty Dog, which is where we dip. And the water and the currents out of Leven Beach, because I've done my research on this, is the water from River Leven gets pushed out and it goes all the way down to the caravan end. So all the stuff out of Scottish water gets pushed out. And then when we're sat just at the Scotty Dog, it's actually the water comes up quite clear. We don't get many jellyfish because the currents jellyfish don't swim, so the jellyfish get pushed all the way down.
That's good because you're already freaking me out.
No, there we go. So there's a belief system. What's your belief system about jellyfish?
I just don't like the fucking sea. I got my paddy. I got my paddy when we were away, and I'm not gonna lie, I was absolutely breaking it. I think I go down 10 metres, 11 metres.
And then
But I just like, it's like fucking, what was that? What was that behind me? Nah, he'd go up and the guy's like,
Hang on.
oh, slow it down, son.
Where will that come from?
Fear.
Fear of the unknown.
Think of a movie.
Jaws.
Jaws, it's always Jaws. I'm 47, I'm in Lever Beach. Whenever I'm walking back into the water and the water's behind me, what's going through my head?
I'll tell you what's funny. I got up to the top, right? That's just terrible. So the wee man's 10 years old. I'm up in the water, and then the guy, the instructor, I could sense it was a bit freaked out. He was like, I'm like, oh fuck, what's going on here? And then he was like, you could see him like it was properly going down and trying to find out. I went, fuck this. I swam back and like, the wee one there.
Yeah.
I'm going, save yourself, son, save yourself. It's like being on a plane.
Father of the year award,
they ask you to
definitely
put the
to
mask
you.
on yourself. Sort yourself like fast so you can. Don't
Now,
come
that's
on
a
about
belief.
that.
So what is that, Johnny? Coming back, so I know we're probably going to wrap up soon.
Bad parenting.
Bad parenting, but that's
Father
the
of the year.
switch on the wall. That's the switch on the wall. Don't tip the switch on the wall. The thing is, we've got a nervous system where we've got 5 senses that we sense fear. The whole point of our subconscious mind is that we've got this whole nervous system that we verbalize and process fear and everything that's happening to us, meaning and everything, the context that happens to us, and we're processing that. We're not just on sight, we're on sound, we're on touch, we're on taste, and we're on smell. So we've got 5 ways of processing fear. So even that little touch, for people that have gone through trauma, that they might not understand why that touch is, but something might have happened to them. Your brain encodes that, and your brain goes, "Oh, remember that." So it goes through the memory process, it goes into the hippocampus, the memory process. Right, what happened last time? Something like that. Oh, that was that giant tarantula. Right, it's a giant tarantula. Let's run. You're not nowhere near giant tarantulas, but that's how the brain and the memory. Yeah. So for anyone that's got like PDST within businesses and things like that, memory is through sight, sense, sound, touch, and taste. All right. Touch and smell is 2 of the biggest ways that people keep going into sweats, into fear mode, because you've got a switch within your brain that just goes through the memory process. The amygdala kicks up and boom, it goes through and creates that memory. So even though fireworks and bonfire is a terrible time of year for a lot of people, because even the sound of a firework, even though you're enjoying the firework, subconsciously, for anyone maybe from the army has had PTSD or CPTSD, that sound triggers the same reactions in our body, the emotional spots and the reactions. Yeah. So somebody might be sat there and go, I don't understand why I'm understanding this. It might have been a backfire of an exhaust on a car driving by, but your body is wired and coded and through your, I know you're looking at your watch, but through your entire nervous system is still processing, the same thing. If you don't help, and this is what we do as mind management coaches, we can help depotentiate that trauma encoded cell, which is a new podcast, because I know you're going to be.
Oh, you do have your podcast as well, which is great. And
it's going really well.
I see that on Facebook, LinkedIn as well. So for people to check you out, how do they do that?
There's lots of ways. You can find me on Cuddy and Carol on Facebook, which is my personal one. The Mind Management Mentors podcast. We do 2 parts, one for marketing, one for mind management. So we get guests on, talk about how they manage their minds in leadership roles. It's sports worlds. A lot of my clients come on because they say we're happy to talk about our experiences and how mind management's helped us. So a couple of them are clients that have gone through trauma. I've worked with other leaders within the business. I think I come from a place of abundance, so I don't mind working with other coaches, hypnotherapists, and things like that. I'm like, come on, let's talk about it. Let's talk how we can help people managing their minds. Yeah. So I think sharing that space with other people, other coaches, is a powerful thing. It gets a great message out. I've now got quite a few people reaching out. Cuddy would like to be on the podcast, which it goes great. From, it's a nice thing to move from, do you want to do a podcast? Do you want a podcast? To I've got like 4 or 5 people saying, oh, can we come on your podcast? So we're starting to elevate. So we're starting moving. So that's the Mind Management Mentors podcast. You can get me at Cuddy at Prior to Mind Management if you want to email me. And working for businesses, we've got massive success stories and great, amazing value for businesses to be able to have Prior to Mind Management on a retainer to support businesses and keep people. You'll find once we get past that overgeneralization and that people don't want to work, which is a belief system, pops up. It's not real. People do want to work, but they want to feel validated and supported to be at work.
Tremendous.
And one of the biggest things we always say is we're not counselors and we're not therapists. We're coaches. So we've got this massive power of We'll let you feel heard. We'll let you feel supported, but we're going to have a solution for you.
Yeah.
And that's what counselling therapy misses out on sometimes. Coaching, we understand that. We can work on that, but this is your options out of it. Let's pick one that's going to be helpful and suitable for you. And then they're like, oh my God, I have got an option to get out of this. Absolutely.
I think people get that sense of relief when
Yes.
they feel heard.
Yes.
And there is a strategic path
Yes.
to get into their
Yes.
achieving it.
And then when they
That's
can't do it, they come back to us and go, why didn't you do it? Let's find out why. Let's find out the switch on the wall, why I can't blow up. Because it's a fear and it's a belief system, and that's what we help with.
It's great that you've explained it that way for our listeners and our viewers.
Yeah.
Because I think we shout out a lot of times some buzzwords, abbreviations, and people go, am I meant to know that?
No.
Or they pretend that they know when they're in a group. There's nothing wrong with saying, I don't understand that.
No.
Can you explain it? But you've explained it beautifully there. So thank you very much for
Not a
that.
problem.
And hopefully the viewers, the listeners out there, that's helped them. It's inspired them. It's given them some golden nuggets.
Yeah.
And if they do want to check you out, go into Facebook, LinkedIn, everything that Cuddy said there. And,
So we're going to go and do a dip then.
Ah,
We're just
see
gonna
it,
talk.
yeah, we're gonna do it.
No, we're going to do it. We're definitely going to get something in the
I
diary.
don't think
We'll
he'll do it.
Yeah.
I can hear it in his language and his body language.
I'm cool with things like that. I'm always.
Look at you, you're
always-
just like,
So we'll video this then.
We're
can get
going to
on.
video it. We're going to post on the socials. I'm going to wear my Speedo. It's going to be
Well,
great.
that's
Oh,
awkward.
that's changed things.
Well, it is what it is, boys. Get over it.
right, so
One of
we
the
need to
things
get
I
a
would
date.
say, we'll sort that out. But this is why I love doing this podcast, because I'm guaranteed there'll be people listening that's not even thought about half the stuff you've been talking about, and that's
Yeah,
gonna be educational.
Johnny touched on something, and two things I'd like to do to finish up. First of all, I have a childlike mentality. So any of my video
too.
courses, I will break it down so a child can understand what's going on, right? Because I've listened to experts and knowledgeable people and go, I don't know what you've just said. It's too highbrow for me.
Yeah.
I need it simplistic so that I can understand it, so I can live it.
Good.
Right? The way I can do that makes my life easier. And if you don't like childlike mentality, I'm not your coach. I am not the person for you. If you want 25 years of experience and medical, chemical, specific to, I'm not your coach. I will help people break down that extreme science into a childlike mentality so that everybody can walk away and go, that's what I want to do with my life. That's how I want to live my life. I'm simplistic. One of my beautiful traits in life, that will trigger a lot of people because I'm like, oh, but I've spent 25 years at Harvard and Princeton and Oxford and I know all these things, but they don't have any clients. I'm a childlike mentality and I've got clients. It's one of those beautiful things that I have. And the second thing I want to finish on with, the one thing about what Johnny did for his business, and most businesses missed out on it, Johnny said, if you don't want to use it, not a problem. But your kids, your wives, your family, I want them supported. Right? And that's what Johnny did. And I've worked with more of your staff's family than your actual staff members. And for a business, I think of a lot of your staff, I can't believe it, my wife is now not doing this. And oh my, Johnny, thank you so much. And that's what Johnny's business did. That's what he did as a leader. And I would say that the fish rots from the head down. It doesn't at JDB, to be fair.
Well
done.
That was very nice
That's
of you.
fantastic.
Yeah, that's
very
something
nice.
that businesses straight away should look into. All right, most people's problems might not be the person's problem, it'll be their family problem. And Johnny nailed it. So there we go.
It sounded like you shaped your world before someone else did.
Oh, like that, man.
Well done,
big man.
Michael.
Sat on that.